The house at the end of Elderberry Lane was always filled with laughter, but the backyard was a wild jungle of tall weeds and thorny brambles. Finn and Lyra often peered through the dusty window, wishing they had a clear place to run and play. The task of fixing it felt like a mountain too high to climb. Soren and Linnea stood on the back porch with their morning tea, looking at the mess. "It could be a meadow for picnics," Linnea whispered hopefully. "Or a place for evening stories," Soren added. But as they looked at the thickets, they both sighed, wondering where they would ever find the strength to begin. That afternoon, Soren tried to pull the stubborn thistles by himself. He heaved and tugged until his face turned red, but the roots held fast. Finn tried to dig a hole for a new apple tree, but the sun-baked ground was too hard for his small shovel to break. On the other side of the yard, Linnea struggled to carry heavy bags of soil from the car. Lyra tried to untangle an old, knotted garden hose that seemed to have a mind of its own. By sunset, everyone was tired and grumpy, and the yard looked just as messy as it had that morning. "Maybe we are doing this the wrong way," Lyra said, sitting down on the grass next to her brother. Finn looked at his blistered hands and nodded. "If we all work on one thing at a time," Finn suggested, "we might be stronger than the weeds. We could be like a team." The next morning, the family gathered around a giant gray rock that was stuck in the middle of the yard. Soren and Finn gripped one side, bending their knees and pulling together on the count of 3. With a loud heave-ho, the stubborn rock finally slid across the dirt. While the boys moved the heavy stones, Linnea and Lyra worked as a pair to prepare the flower beds. Linnea held the long rake high to clear the debris, and Lyra followed closely behind, using her small hands to pat the fresh soil smooth and flat. Soon, it was time for the seeds to meet the earth. They formed a long line from the outdoor tap to the new garden beds. Soren filled the watering cans, and Lyra carefully carried them to the thirsty ground. "One for the daisies and one for the peas," she sang happily. Weeks passed, and the family kept their promise to work together every day. Finn pulled the tiny new weeds that tried to hide, while Linnea checked the undersides of leaves for hungry bugs. Because they shared the chores, the work felt more like a game than a struggle. By midsummer, the backyard had transformed into a sea of brilliant colors. Soren lifted Lyra high onto his shoulders so she could touch the fuzzy centers of the towering sunflowers. They realized that their family was just like the garden, stronger and more beautiful because they grew together.